Welcome to this video. This is a series focused on helping you develop your blind tasting skills in preparation for the WSET Level 3 in Wine examination. The way this works is I'm going to go through a wine. I'm going to give you my tasting impression and follow the SAT, the systematic approach to tasting. And then we'll have a quick break. You can kind of consolidate your notes and your thoughts. And then I'll come back and we'll actually talk about the wine and reveal it. All right, so let's get started. In my glass, I have a wine that is... it's clear. It is medium intensity. I do have the ability to kind of see through it, and I can see the top of the stem of the glass, and I can see some of the writing on my paper. So medium intensity, and we are leaning into garnet here. So there's a little bit more of a slight amber, tawny edge to the red fruit, which is at the core, the ruby fruit that's at the core. But it is definitely a wine that is showing a little bit more of that amber browning kind of quality around the edges. So just want to make note of that. Nothing else for observations. And then on the nose, it's clean. There's a lot coming out of this glass. This has got a really pretty layered and what I'm going to start out by saying is kind of an elegant kind of feel to the nose. So intensity level, it's jumping out. Medium plus is where I'm going with this. And I'm also going to say that this is fully developed. We want to make sure that you remember the development call in your nose, your aromatic answering section. And I'm already thinking ahead to what I'm going to kind of call in a second, and there's a lot of tertiary going on here. There's still a lot of primary, but it is on the dried, it is on the sort of jammy, slightly aged, and a little bit of oxidation kind of creeping in here, but pretty well balanced all the way through. So let's talk about what I'm smelling. Here, you know, in the florals, I get a little bit of rose. There's a little bit of delicate red kind of coming through, but that's really more like red currant, raspberries, red cherry, red plum, just a hint of black, maybe like black cherry. But everything kind of has, like I said, this sense of a slight jammy, slight raisin kind of quality to it, touch of maybe fresh fig, not fresh, but like dried fig, and maybe slight baked quality to everything. A little bit of maybe leaf, edge, not a lot of herbal, but just a touch of that perhaps, stone and whatnot. But a lot of that is you know, a lot of the primary fruit is showing a little bit of a more aged kind of quality to it. It's a little dried, it's a little jammy, it's a little compote, so to speak. And then we get in the secondary, and there's definitely a fair amount of wood aspect to this wine, although it's pretty well integrated. There's a vanilla, there's a toast, there's a char. You get a little bit of chocolate, even a hint of coconut perhaps. So there's a good amount of wood involvement here. And then in the tertiary section is really kind of where things start to take off a little bit. There's a slight oxidative quality to it with some almond and maybe walnut shell or hazelnut shell or something like that. But then I get a lot in the bottle age kind of component where there's a bit of leather, forest floor, mushroom, earthiness. None of it is bad. None of it is sort of like caramelized or cooked. It's just kind of slowly evolving into that nice kind of rich, smooth compost kind of feel. So, you know, if you're a gardener, or hike in the woods in the summertime, you have a sense perhaps of what like compost, like things that are slowly decaying, but in a fresh manner. I know that's kind of a weird way to say it because compost is not fresh, but it's clean. And you get that earthiness, you get that rich sort of fruit savoriness that comes out of it. And that's what I'm smelling here. It's got tons of that. So let's taste it on the palate. Yeah, this wine's dry. Acid, it's making my mouth water. I mean, there's some tannin here. It's pretty well resolved. It's silky, graphite-y kind of tannins that are very smooth on the palate. But I think coupled with a little bit of an elevated level of acidity, give my mouth that watering sensation. So I'm going to call medium plus on acid. Tannin is also medium plus. Not getting a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is medium at best. There's no warming. There's no real big impact from the alcohol. Body on this, medium. That acid kind of cleans things out a little bit, so it's not really building a huge amount of body, and there's not enough alcohol to kind of build in a sense of a big, medium plus or fuller body kind of wine. But it definitely has a presence. Flavor intensity, again, medium plus. I'm getting a lot of flavors Slightly muted on the palate versus what I maybe experienced on the nose, although I'm getting a lot of flavors here. And my finish, because I am getting those flavors and they are kind of lingering for a while, it's up there. I'm going to call medium plus here, maybe medium, but I like medium plus because I'm still tasting a lot of things, even though I haven't tasted the wine for a minute or maybe ago. So what am I getting on the palate? A lot of the same thing that I was getting before. A lot of that red fruit, red currants, cherries, plum, but everything's kind of dried, a little bit baked. Not so much herbaceous. I get more wood on the palate. Sort of the vanilla, the slight oxidative quality that you get from wood aging is kind of coming through. Coconut definitely comes through. Toast, chocolate, all that stuff is there. And then we get a lot of that. So I get a lot of that sweet red fruit flavors wrapped around this savory, forest floor, earthy mushroom kind of quality. Really kind of complex on the palate. Showing its age. Kind of an interesting wine. Really kind of has good layers, good depth to it. But those things kind of fall off a little bit. So I think when I called up above, I called developed as fully developed. I think that's really where it sort of shows through a little bit, in that I don't know if this wine's going to be something that I'd want to age for much longer. So going through balance, length, intensity, and complexity, I've got a good argument for balance. Everything kind of works in check. Length, I called that as medium plus, maybe medium, but medium plus. So almost a full check there. Intensity, I think I gave it both medium pluses on the nose and on the palate. So a pretty full check on that one. And then complexity, there's a lot of things going on in this wine, and it feels like it's been around for a bit because of all that complexity that's kind of built on the palate. So I'm gonna give it a very good call because it's got a lot of strong checks. Balance, I think, is a full check. And then almost full checks on the rest of it all the way down. So a very good wine. But when it gets to whether or not we can actually or want to age this wine or not, I think it's something that you can drink now. I don't necessarily think it's a wine you're going to want to age any longer. So I'm going to call it not really suitable for further aging. So that's it for now. Kind of consolidate your notes a little bit, kind of give it some thought, see what you think, and then we'll come back in a minute and reveal the wine. All right, so what is this wine? This is a kind of almost a full-bodied wine. It has tons of flavor. It's a wine that's showing a lot of tertiary, so it's something that has aged. And while there's places around the world where wines can certainly age, there's not a lot of places where there's sort of this determined aging quality. Certainly, Bordeaux, Italian wines, California cabs, things like that have the ability to age. But there's only a handful of places around the world that actually purposely age their wines and then sell them when they're ready to be drunk after aging in their cellars rather than in your cellar. So it's really nice to kind of come across sometimes a wine that has some great age to it. And this is really one of my favorite regions for wines like that. So this is a Rioja, and in fact, it's a Rioja Reserva. Okay, so that means it's been aged both in bottle and in wood first, and then in bottle purposely. This is called Coto de Maz, and it's a Rioja 2004. Give it another 10 years, actually. So I think the fact that this wine is nearly 20 years of age kind of demonstrates where all of that tertiary flavor is coming from. And the fact that it does have a Reserva designation means that it did spend a fair amount of time aging in oak barrels, picking up those notes that are still lingering to this day, but pretty high quality wine to be able to age for close to 20 years. And the little clue in my tasting note that might have led you to Rioja is the fact that I mentioned coconut, something that actually does come across in this wine a little bit as kind of like a sweet coconut kind of presence in the oak profile in the secondary category. In very few places around the world do they actually use American oak, and American oak does attribute and contribute a little bit of coconut flavor sometimes to the wine. So that would be a little clue here. So the Coto de Maz Rioja 2004 Reserva, and alcohol-wise, it's 13.5%. So right in the middle. Again, showing a nice kind of a middle-of-the-road profile that allows this wine to age for a good amount of time. So pretty high-quality wine, and we called it as very good. I wouldn't really want to be aging this too much longer. I'm glad I opened it up now. because it's drinking really, really well, but I think it's going to kind of start to slide down the development slide and just kind of lose the rest of the fruit, and there's no real kind of potential, I think, for getting anything better. It'll just kind of slowly start to degrade over time. So there's no point really. So drink it up if you happen to have a bottle. Otherwise, really nice kind of example of a well-aged wine. All right, cheers.